Hi, in this video presentation, I want to highlight some of the experiences that I had gained and the way of doing business that I had adopted from these experiences. All information that I present here are based on actual situations that I have been through. I learned a lot from successful ventures as well as failed attempts. Also, I have constantly to update my understanding of prevailing circumstances and modify the way of doing business as time passes and as the Vietnam government revise and adopt new laws and regulations to cater for developments of the Vietnam market. I hope that this presentation can be of help to those who are concerned with doing business in Vietnam. To begin with, I would like to give a brief introduction of myself. My name is Chang Koon Yuen. I am a Singapore citizen of Chinese origin. I had my education in Singapore and UK, majoring in mechanical engineering. I work in Singapore, in US, in the UK, and Vietnam. English is the main language that I communicate with, though I can also communicate in Chinese and Vietnamese. So my background is actually multinational, and I always try to adopt the best of both the Eastern and the Western cultures, behaviors, and characteristics to have an optimum form that is applicable in an advancing international market. I started coming to Vietnam in 1988 when the US trade embargo of Vietnam, which was from 1975 to 1994, was still in force. At that time, I came to Ho Chi Minh City via Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The air travels were unforgettable because they were on Aeroflot Russian jet, Tupolev Tu-134, where the airplane rattled in operation and the passengers cheered and clapped whenever we had a safe landing. I found that doing business in closed economy was different from what we normally learn in universities, and I had to adopt attitudes totally different from my Singapore upbringing, where following the rules and staying in line was the norm. There was so much wheeling and dealing, and I had to be creative in order to work my way around on many occasions. I had to be flexible all the time and had to adapt to many unforeseen circumstances. Despite the restrictions and the controls I experienced, I felt safe. Furthermore, I felt that at ease with the way of life, the people, and the food, and that's when actually I decided to make Vietnam my second home. I started business in Vietnam with the import and sales of used farming engines such as the small Yamaha and Kubota diesel engines, and used farming equipment such as used tillers and tractors, and later bigger items such as used marine engine, and later even bigger items such as used construction equipment like used excavators and truck cranes. And later on, I even involved myself in even bigger items like port equipment such as used container reach stackers. As more and more business people jump into the used equipment market, and as the market develops, the requirement for new equipment and machines rather than used equipment and machines increased and expanded. I then started doing new equipment and machines business with being the first agent in Vietnam for Yamazen Corporation of Japan. I also represented Fentuzzi port equipment, Komatsu tower crane, and Mitsubishi forklift trucks at one time. Through these years, I had engaged in various types of businesses such as trading, distribution, technical servicing, manufacturing, and consultancy. Besides the different types of businesses, my experience were also in different types of industries, such as metal processing, wood processing, industrial food catering, restaurant, children playground, motorcycles parts distribution, dormitory rental, automotive servicing, and consultancy, and so on. There are many types of consultants in the market. There are investment consultants, legal consultants, financial consultants, HR consultants, and so on. But I am none of those. I am what we call an implementation consultant. As an implementation consultant, when I consult for a company, it is usually for a period of between 2 to 3 years. I will manage and advise and handle every aspect of the company's or the factory's establishment from initial stage of searching for suitable land for the factory to when the factory comes into full operation. This includes signing the MOU for the land, investment registration, company registration, construction permit, environmental protection permit, wastewater treatment, fire protection permit, building license, tax registration, customs registration, factory setup, workers' health and safety, recruitment, workers' union, import-export procedures, supplier evaluation, and so on. At each stage of setting up of the factory, there may be procedures that require professional services that has to be engaged, at which time I represent the client to discuss the unique requirements of the client with the professional services. For a consultancy project to be successful, there must be a good match between the characteristics of the client and the experience and capability of the consultant. In my opinion, the following are the characteristics of the client that I will be able to work productively with in order to have results that the client wants. These characteristics are: number one, small and medium-sized enterprises; number two, a real desire to want to reach a win-win situation for both the investor and Vietnam; number three, objective to localize both manpower and material sourcing or value added; and number four, a genuine behavior of respect for both the Vietnamese people and the laws of Vietnam. First and foremost, my experiences and capabilities are suitable for small and medium-sized enterprises. The organization and setup of large corporations will most likely not require the services that I can provide. The comprehensive team of staff of the large corporation will be adequate to bring the investment project from conception to fruition without much difficulty. Next, it is important that the owner and top management should have the objective to establish a viable economic activity that have benefits for both the investor and Vietnam. This means that the investor wants to have economic gains by investing into Vietnam and at the same time wanting to contribute to the development of Vietnam by introducing expertise and technology. A win-win situation and not just wanting to make the most money out of Vietnam and not care about Vietnam at all. The next point is localization. Localization in both manpower and material sources or value adding. This follows on from the previous point that in order to have economic gain and to contribute to Vietnam, the investor must have an aim to want to plan for localization of both human resources and material sourcing or value added. Doing this will enable the investor to maximize the gains and contributions for the benefit of both the investor and Vietnam. Next is respect, a very important point. Vietnam is different like any other country, but not inferior. Investors should not have the idea that Vietnamese are cheats, dishonest, conniving, and good for nothing. I know of many Vietnamese who are honest, trustworthy, hardworking, intelligent, and are very willing to learn if given the chance. So respect them for who they are and not be prejudiced against them for something that they are not. The Vietnam government established laws, legislations, and regulations so that the authorities can run the country. These laws, legislations, and regulations also set a level playing field for all those living and working in this playing field. It is for the benefit of the people of Vietnam as well as the investors investing in Vietnam so that no one is unfairly prejudiced. For this reason, it is right that the people of Vietnam as well as the investors must abide by the laws of Vietnam and not try to bypass, avoid, or outright breaks the law. In closing, I would like to give you my perspective of doing business in Vietnam. The Vietnam business landscape is like a racing field with lanes that are not clearly marked and often remarked, leading to your targets that you need to change to suit the changing prevailing circumstances. These are lanes full of potholes that are usually not so deep. So you will just trip and stumble, and you pick yourself up, learn from it, and maybe pay for it, and then move on. The approach to success is to be flexible, to shift your target in order to align yourself to the prevailing circumstances and move along patiently, avoiding the potholes. In whatever circumstances, do not try to go outside of the lanes or take shortcuts because the authorities knows and will penalize the company at a time that is convenient to the authorities. If you do take shortcuts and bypass the law, it is like digging yourself a more deep pothole, a deeper pothole that you will likely fall into and that you may not even be able to climb out of. Very important is that as long as you do not engage yourself in any illegal or banned activities such as politics, drugs trafficking, firearms, murder, or acts against the country, there are always room for discussion, negotiation, and resolution. I hope that the above have been useful to all those who are involved in doing business in Vietnam. Let me know if you need any opinions on any aspects of doing business in Vietnam. I may not know everything, but I know the way to find the information. And more importantly, to find solutions to problems you may face. As I am presently consulting for 3 companies, so I may take some time to actually reply to your queries. Thank you for your attention.